So you should understand that I think it was Dostoevsky, the Russian scholar, who said history will be great if only it were true. So so and 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 another, I forgot who said this or wrote about this, said is a popular, is a common knowledge now that history is written by uh, the winner, the you know the people who win, in whatever history, they are the one who write history. So if you understand those two principles, you can understand why history has been distorted. Because Dostoevsky understood very well that history per se will really be a great thing, really, to teach us about the past, but only if it were true, because the people who wrote it, you know, wrote it based on some ideology, based on some agenda, based on some asili, based on some goals. So there is a part of history that is real. There is a part of documented history that is real. But how do you, that what I say real, that follows some scientific, again, you have to even really put scientific in quote unquote, because scientific is also a Western notion defined by some principles. But there are things that did happen, like World War I happened. You cannot deny it. World War II happened. You cannot deny it. 9/11 happened. We all saw. If World War I and II are far, because maybe we were not born, something that we saw with our own eyes, 9/11, 2001, when the towers fell in New York, that happened. You cannot, nobody can say that something like this did not happen. That happened. So there are facts. There are things that did happen in the past. There are facts. Now, how, let's just stay with the 9/11 piece. How will future generation remember 9/11? Even it was just 2001, and now we're 2019. Well, it was what, 18 years ago. The child who was born in 2009, at the time the 9/11 happened, is an adult now, 18 years old. So how will future generations remember 9/11? Who is writing about 9/11? Those people who were born after 9/11 will know about 9/11 based on the reports, television report, the writing, and history books, and things like that. Who now are reporting? Who now are writing those history books? What are they choosing to write? What are they leaving out? You know that there's a huge conspiracy around 9/11. There's one side of the conspiracy that says it's an inside job. Like, how could journalists at CNN predict already that a building would fall before that building fell? How could, like, when and other theorists ask, when they ask, where are the planes that brought the building down? And then people say, well, there's no planes. So there's so many questions around that. Which version of the 9/11 story will be remembered as the legit facts that did happen? So that is what makes history very complex. And that's what Dostoevsky said, history would be great if only it were true. Because there are things like that. Like, who writes about it? And what is the agenda of the person who writes about it? What are the facts that those people know? What are the facts that those people don't know? And how do they want people in the future to learn about these facts? And that was the same thing. It was a concerted effort to negate any invention knowledge, civilization from the black people, from the black generation, from the get-go. Because then that will make the white people, that will go against the white European Asilis agenda, ideology. So and history cannot. And also, you also have to remember, because the Thucydides is called the father of history. And a friend of mine actually told me, you have to be careful, because European, a Harvard professor and all that, they call Thucydides the father and founder of history, because he wrote the first history book when he talk about the rise of Athens, created a problem in Spartak that brought Spartak to war, because it was the reigning power, and a new power was rising. So, and he wrote that history book, and that now was the first history book ever recorded by that person. And that's how history as a discipline was founded. But my friend here, Asian, she told me, careful, you should say father of Western history, because he wrote about Western history. It doesn't mean that all the culture, non-Western, non-European, did not have things happening. Even if people did not write about that, or if people wrote about that, but they stay within that culture. Chinese culture is older than European culture, just to stay with that. Because everybody knows, even the Chinese now know, that Egyptian culture is the oldest culture ever in the world. There has never been anything before that. That is not in doubt anymore. It's a consensus. So, to understand all of this, you understand that, first of all, everything that motivates human beings is power. So it's power and money, right? And control. So especially the European Asili. So that's one thing. And at the basis of all of that, now no culture really escaped this, is greed, human greed. But some non-European culture try to control their greed to some extent. So that's another thing. And then let me give you an example. And I know we already talked about this. I am supposedly I'm a white, let's say I'm a white, a rich, extremely rich person, and I belong to a group of white rich people. And next to me, or next to our group, is a group of poor white people on the left. On the right, another group of poor black people. And then the group of poor white people realize that they have much in common with the group of poor black people because of their plight. That is the first thing. They do not look at each other in terms of we're different, the color of our skin or anything like that. They look in terms of we are in the same plight. We can eat, we can feed our family, we can do anything that is according to Maslow's hierarchy of need. That is the basic things. That is the first thing people look at their life experience through the lens they use to look at their life experience. First thing, beyond race and all that, that's very, very far away. So, and then the group of poor white and poor black now combine together to protest the group of the white rich. And then the group of the white rich now try to find a way to protect themselves. And then they try to find a way how to divide those two groups that are coming together and that are going to be very strong for them. And say, take one group and say, look, how can you associate yourself with that other group? You look like me, so we have more in common. So the fact that you look like me, in a way you're closer to me than you're closer to that other group. So you can look, you can control that other group on my behalf, and I can give you some of what I have. And then the group of the poor, the poor white people there now change their anger towards the rich group that look like them, turn that anger into a racist feeling towards the people who do not look like them. So the sentiment and feeling of we in the same plight together because we don't have money or anything changes and becomes I'm superior to you. I might not have anything, but at least I have that power over you. You know, I can decide your fate. I can decide your future. I can decide anything that you want to do in your life. So I have that control over you. That for me is good enough. I might not have the money. I might not have anything, but at least I'm not your equal. You know, you're inferior. So that gives me satisfaction. You can see how a feeling of anger towards a group that is crushing and dominating is being turned into racist hatred towards a group that is not. Like now we move into an appearance thing. And now this group collaborates, and that is the birth basically of racism, which at the foundation of it is economic inequality, is poverty, is greed, human greed, to have more, to have money, to have control over. That is the base of it. So racism is just like a symptom of something deeper. Okay. Yeah. So now, how does one group, one culture becomes dominant to control everything? It follows the same logic that I just explained to you right now with this example. Human greed, that desire, that need for control. And now, if your worldview is developed, the only thing you know is hypocrisy, lie, greed, and things like that to see how to exploit the other, then you will use anything possible to help you achieve that goal, if that is your worldview. So now you begin to develop all the instruments that will support you into achieving that goal, meaning more land, more control, more this, more that. And because if you're alone, you'll be weak. So then you operate as a collective culture, as a collective people. Because if you look at the I think maybe it was Jean-Jacques Rousseau who said that the one who wrote the contract, the social contract. I think it was him, or I don't remember, the way he talked about the troglodyte. The troglodyte, he says he describes an indigenous group of people pre everything, pre civilization, pre everything, when we were still like barbaric, like we were still Neanderthals and things like that, right? And then we did not have any form of society. The whole thing that we call society today is constructed. Human beings did not have any form of organization. They were living like animals, where, it was barbarism. It was, is in French actually, la loi du plus fort est toujours la meilleure. Like it was the rule of the strongest. That was the way human beings were. In his book, as he explained how human beings decided to create society and order. He said before that it was the strongest who will rule over everything, but there was never a strongest, because if you're stronger than somebody else, then you take that person's belonging, and somebody who is stronger than you will take your belonging, and somebody who is stronger than the person who is stronger than you will kill that person and take his belonging. That is how he described how human beings were operating when there was no hierarchy, there was no control over resources, there were no any civilization, there were no any culture, no nothing. So human beings were living like that, like animals. Like if you look at the animals, they live in groups, they make children, and then they started fighting themselves when the child grows up. They even don't recognize that they're children anymore. They kill each other and eat each other. So they only protect the little kids until a certain age. And then the kid even will start making love with the mom again. When I was in Cameroon, I would observe that in my village. I look at little chicken, the mother chicken who give birth to little chickens, and I will be observing them growing up. And the little chicken will become a rooster, when it started growing and developing a little bit of bone and muscle and everything. And now he started wanting to make love to his own mom in the chicken world. That mother, that like we were, raising chickens, and I can observe that behavior. I guess I was like predestined to just study psychology and culture, because I was still a young boy, not really even thinking about, was not even in university, not even thinking about any, major or anything. But I was already observing things around me, and I was so fascinated by the behavior of those chicken around us, and not only chicken, even the pigs and all the animal, that because I sometimes spend time growing up in the village where there's no civilization, there's nothing, you just like live in nature there, and I loved it that way. Every day, all the chickens screaming, the roosters screaming, and all that, and I would be observing them because I enjoy eating the eggs. So, but then she will be so protective of her eggs. They very, like, you come near the eggs, and then the mother chicken will come and try to, to peck you, and you run away, and then the eggs kind of come out, and then the little chicken start growing, and she protects them against the hawks, because you have the hawks come and steal the chicken to eat. So she will fight, and then you see she's bleeding because she's fighting the hawks and eagles who try to eat the chicken. So you see how protective of her little chicken. And then the little chicken start growing, and then I started seeing the distinction, because when they're young I cannot see, but when they start growing I see the distinction. Some are chicken and some are roosters. So and then the rooster now start growing a little bit. First thing the rooster tries to do is to either have sex with the other chicken, who is basically a sister, or with the mother. And sometimes the mother is stronger. So what they do is they will fight, because if you observe the way chicken behave, a mother chicken will never allow a rooster who is weaker than her to come on top of her and have sex. Never. You have to be strong and dominate her. Yeah, like talk your beak on her head and hard, and then she submits herself. I've been observing it for a long time there. So the little chicken that was the rooster, was just a baby, now trying to have sex with their own mother, and then they will be fighting, and then the mother will beat it and it will run away. But it will try again the next day, beat it and run away, try again, until one is really stronger now. As a big rooster and now stronger. Now they fight, and then he will submit his mother. Boom, and then as they fight, and then he jump over her and hit with his beak. Bam! And she will submit. She'll go down. And he's this. So I observed it in a long time. And I was like, damn, how can this be possible? Like in the human world, first of all, is incest, which is a human creation. Because one of my friends in America is originally from Cameroon but became American citizen. He told me, if, I don't know if that is actually scientific, but he said, if human beings were allowed to marry their sisters, that would be like because your sister, that's his thinking. He said your sister knows you better than anybody else. Like when you marry a foreign, a stranger, another girl, whatever like that, and you marry outside of your family that you grew up together, that person doesn't really know you, and you don't know the intention they're coming into the relationship and all that. But if you were to, it was just kind of fantasizing that if you were to marry your sister, then that would be like, I don't know how he put it, but he said she knows you better. You know her better because you grew up together. So, but that would not be possible in human race, in human culture. So because it's incest, and then there's so many consideration, like what about the children there's chances that the children might not survive because of some blood types and some stuff and this, and so there are many things that as human beings we consider that animals do not. So this Rousseau, I don't know, I guess it was Rousseau who talked about the troglodytes, that the original people who were not organized in any form of society at all, any form of culture, anything. That is how they used to live. Like the chicken that I just described to you, where it was the stronger that will rule. The person who is stronger will go and defeat or kill and beat the other neighbor and take all his possession, whatever that person has. And then somebody else who's stronger than him or her will come and beat or kill him and take everything. And then he concluded in the book saying, in the end, there is never going to be the strongest, because there's always going to be one who is stronger than the other. There was never, ever going to be one who say, I am the strongest forever and never be challenged and take everything. That will never, ever exist. That was his conclusion. And then those troglodytes, they realized that we cannot live like this. We have to organize ourselves, to police ourselves, to put some order in the way we live. That now was beginning of civilization in terms of humanity and human beings thinking. And they say, let's all sit and decide together and elect a person that we all give our power to, so that that person can make decisions for us, can organize our living, can create, can take people as people who have some ability to help that person, and make sure that there is some kind of punishment for people who want to take things that are not theirs, and property and this and that and that. That's how society started building and founding. And then we have the chief. Now you see the primitive communities, the chief of the village, who is the ultimate authority of whatever is happening in the community. Before we had the big Western thing, but that's how it started. So if there is any problem, conflict and all that, we will go see the chief, and the chief have people helping him to decide and all this and that. So just to regulate society. But then things started developing because of human nature. We had that conversation about human nature before. Human nature is at the base greedy. So now something that was originally really well intentioned and really to regulate society and everything became now used as a weapon of a social status, because of people wanting to have control over the other. And then despotism and all this kind of thing, and bigotry and all that kind of thing started penetrating the systems. And it became like the chief now will have his proteges, and then people will be corrupting because they want some position to control and want more this and that. So those little shenanigans and things like this started happening. And now that started multiplying into bigger ways now of controlling resources. When the humans started realizing the value of some resources, then the race towards controlling those resources started. And the people now whose asili was a little bit more focused on the power of destruction had an upper hand, because they started developing tools of destruction, like guns and things that kill, and boats that will help them sail across seas and oceans to discover other lands and all that, and start developing really things that can help them conquer more. So and now the culture that has, because at the barbaric time, during the barbaric time, the culture that will dominate, or the culture will be the one that has the strongest people physically, and the strongest king. And that was not enough anymore, because we moved from just being physically strong and killing the other to machetes and spear and all that kind of thing, to weapons. And now those tools, destructive and killing tools, started being used to control. And I'm still talking to you at a very basic barbaric level of how a culture controls the resources, controls the land, controls the people, and establish itself. And of course, the other conquered will not go lay down there and just stay. They will find ways to revenge themselves or ally with others to come back, and then that's why you see the dynamic of one tribe will dominate one tribe, and then that tribe will be also dominated by another tribe, and that other tribe will come take revenge, and then it will go back and forth. That's why one culture can never control forever. And now we move up now to a more developed, advanced civilization where we have weapons and things like that. See, and then you see the Babylonian, the Egyptian weren't very conquerors out there, but then you have the Babylonians, and then you have the Persians, and then you have the Greek, and then the Roman Empire, and then this, and then the British Empire, and then this, and then the Russian Empire, and the German, French, and then the US, and this and that, right? So, and now you can see how one empire will control not only its own subject, but will want to expand and control the whole world. And then, because that is not sustainable, so it will only control to a certain period of time and will collapse, either by too much greed and deprecation and extension, and then you cannot sustain yourself anymore, like the Soviet Union, or by internal conflicts where your authority is being challenged and things like that, and problems started by inside and all that, and then you kind of implode, or by simple having exhausted your potential because another power has developed things that are stronger than you. Like China now is overtaking the US in many areas. Many areas, especially technology with the G5, the G5 technology that the US doesn't have. And Russia now has developed like the latest kind of long-range missile that the US doesn't have right now, because it can circle the surface of N at infinitum, like without limit. They don't need to recharge anything, and evade protections, anti-nuclear protection shields that are in the latest Russian missile. The US doesn't have that technology. So, and that is how they're setting themselves up to overtake. So that is how one culture overtakes the other. So it's a very complex thing, but it's just in the nature of human beings. Just in the nature of human beings to not be stagnant.